Maybe the most interesting part to come out of last night's docuseries, the first 2 hours of it, is that Michael Jordan's drink of choice was 7-Up and orange juice.
Unreal.
I swore the first time I ever heard that was last Tuesday when the GOAT, Joe Burrow, stopped by here and his family gave us a little inside information to ask him about his 7-Up and OJ kick that he's been on for over a decade. Joey told us that he's given over $100,000 to Simply Orange. Then last night, Michael Jordan being asked about the cocaine circus Chicago Bulls before Jordan arrived in the early 80s. He said he knocked on a hotel room door, saw his entire room standing in a weed cocaine line. He said, you know what? I'm out. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I'm just going to go to the gym, get ready to play, and drink my orange juice and 7-Up. When I heard that, I almost fell out of my chair because Burrow was the first and only person I had ever heard to drink that. He's getting prepared for the NFL draft. Joe is. He should be the number one pick on Thursday night when Cincinnati calls his name number one overall. Should be a really cool time for the Burrows right now and such a uneasy time for our world. And Jimmy Burrow, who's a Tuesday regular and was during the football season, is stopping by with us here on the opening day of draft week. There's a great story coming out on LSUsports.net later today, inked by Jeffrey Marks, who is a Pulitzer Prize winner. It'll be at LSUsports.net. It's titled Forever Linked, the Story of Heisman Joe and Coach O. Coach Burrow is here to start off this draft week with us. Coach, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. How are you today?
Doing good. Did you have any idea that Michael Jordan's drink of choice was 7-Up and orange juice? Did you know that before last night?
No, we were watching it, and Joe kind of cut his eyes over there to us, like we were all surprised. And then Jamie, of course, my son, he called and said that we were just laughing, saying maybe there's something in that drink. So he was going to make sure his son Ivy started drinking orange juice and 7-Up.
I got little Jay on double time today. We're going to pick up a case of 7-Up and orange juice, and we're going to start on it immediately today. That was amazing hearing that. What did you you've been around athletics your entire life. You've been a football coach and been around the game for 50 years, and seeing one of the great teams documented last night, what did you take away from that, watching the Chicago Bulls opening series of that documentary?
Well, we all watched as they became one of the greatest teams, and it's never as easy as it looks. And I think that show kind of points it out. But you always need a few guys that just hate to lose, and that's the way it sounds, especially with Michael Jordan, competitive guy, and it was pretty amazing. They put together a great run there, and it's too bad it sounds like maybe it could have continued if they'd have been willing to keep going with that team.
Coach, this is the week that we've been talking about since the end of the college football season. Draft week is finally here. It'll be a quirky draft, obviously, on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday with the way that the NFL's handling it with COVID-19. But your family, your son will be front and center, the centerpiece of the coverage. What is it like to wake up this week knowing that Thursday night's going to happen?
Well, finally, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we went from having 50 to 75 people maybe in Vegas, friends and family, and thousands watching to basically 4 of us in our living room here in the Plains, Ohio. So quite a difference in a few months here about what our plans are for draft night. But we're just excited that it's finally here, even though probably nothing can happen even after you're drafted about going to that team, going to the city. At least we know, and Joe knows where he's going to be, and we can start planning for his future in that regard.
Yeah,
so exciting times for our family, that's for sure, and Joe.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess I never thought about that because normally, yeah, like the next day you're off to wherever the team is. Is he going to be able, let's say it's Cincinnati, is he going to be able to report there, or is everything still going to be shut down?
No, all the facilities are shut down, so I'm not sure, what the plans are depending on what team drafts you, but nobody can open their facilities for anything. And I believe in the past that the rookie OTA is actually real soon too,
Yeah.
and that won't take place. And there'll be certainly new rules about how much time they spend with you. I think on the phone, and we're just kind of up in the air about really how that's going to proceed after he is drafted.
Yeah, and that's where it gets kind of fascinating, Jimmy. And when we talked to Joe, he gave us some insight into that. It's just like, it's already tough being a number one overall pick because you're going to a situation where the team wasn't winning when you got there, and then it's made that much tougher when you don't get to have those OTAs or that summer timing. Peyton Manning had some comments for Joe about the growing process and some of the struggles year one that led to the success of year two. What do you think Joe took out of what Manning had to say?
Well, I think he understands that he has to be patient. He has to bide his time, as just like he did at LSU, maybe to go ahead and be vocal, and you just got to make sure that you're a rookie, but also know that you're going to be asked to possibly lead a team, and there's going to be, as I thought I saw Peyton say, there's going to be bumps in the road. And again, when he went to LSU, same thing. We talked about, hey, it's not going to be easy. There's going to be some good times and bad times in the process, and I think Peyton certainly understands that. I think they were 3-13, and maybe reverse that the next year. But Joe developed a relationship with those guys as I did with more with Archie during the Manning Academy, and it's great to have people like that we bounced some things off of over the last year or so.
What type of advice do you get of being a dad in this situation? I'd imagine that you have a pretty good grip and understanding on the football aspect of it, much like Archie did. But what could he tell you about just kind of being the dad in this role?
Well, that's a good question. He had two sons actually to go through that whole thing. So, just to make sure that you talk to Joe about being level-headed and making sure that he treated everybody with respect once he got in the NFL, and he's going to be a high draft pick, but once again. The Mannings have always been team guys, even though they're great players, and I think that's what he told me as a dad, just to keep encouraging him to do the same things that got him to where he is today, and that's hard work and being a good teammate and being a good leader.
What's it like being in the epicenter of the state that seems like is going to choose him? I mean, has it gotten wild, or has it kind of been maybe best case scenario with the in-home order for everybody to stay in?
Well, I've watched this draft over the years. I was involved in it with myself and with Jamie, so two different times, and you just never know what might happen. So we're just so excited that he's put himself in this position to have a chance to be drafted as high as he will be, or hopefully will be, and whatever happens, he's just going to be really happy to go to that team and start work as soon as he can, which again, as we talked about, when we don't know when that's going to be.
Everybody has looked for an angle and a story on Joe, whether it's been the family, the transfer, LSU, the national championship. Jeffrey Marks, who is a Pulitzer Prize winning author, put together a story that I believe is going to be linked on the Advocate site, titled Forever Linked, the story of Heisman Joe and Coach O. It's a 3-part series where a lot of people were talked to and a lot of background information. Jeffrey's a great writer. What was cool about this story and this go around?
Well, I know Jeffrey has put in unbelievable hard work to do this, and I think a great thing about him is I've learned in this process that he's writing that he wants to be right. We spent about 2 hours with him on the phone the other day, fact checking, our different parts of the story. Robin and I know he spent time with Dan doing the same thing. So I think just really diving into the personal relationship that maybe has developed, and not necessarily even coach to player, but really player or person to person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a different angle maybe than a lot of people have looked into, and it takes a lot of time. And Jeffrey certainly put in a lot of time. So we're excited as a family to start seeing that finished product today. Also,
I know that this is a big week for you and for you and your family. Send our best to Miss Robin and the crew. Best of luck, and thank you as always for your time and access, sir.
Okay, you guys stay safe down there.
Yes, sir. You do the same.
Enjoy that 7-Up and OJ.
I'm going to have some right now.
You gotta drink it. I'm going to drink it during the draft.
Yeah, no doubt.
I might mix something in mine though.
Coach Jimmy Burrow.
We're going to call them for some marketing opportunities.
Yeah,
I mean, for real.
They really need to catch up. I mean, they really need to catch up.
For
at this
real.
point.
Come on.
Thank you, Coach.
All right.
See you, man. There he is, Coach Jimmy Burrow, checking in from the Midwest. Midwest this morning.
I cannot believe that, dude.
It was unbelievable.
I thought
I mean,
1,000%. I thought 1,000%. Because I've never been the biggest MJ guy. Because like I said, he was the antagonist for me growing up. I thought 1,000% that was a known MJ fact, and that's why Burrow drank it. The fact that it is just complete happenstance. You have the greatest basketball player of all time, and at least the greatest LSU football player of all time, both randomly stumbling upon that. It's just life. To me, it's almost like a truth is stranger than fiction type moment.
It was crazy. I mean, and then to get Jimmy telling the story of last night, hearing it real time, and Joe
kind of doing the eyebrows,
picking his head up, kind of like, wait, what?
Did you hear that?